My name is Coding Krishna. I'm from Point Recorders. Today I'm going to explain about how to connect to the database through Java using JDBC. Okay, so I'll explain with some setup program. Okay, so I have a DB connection is a class which I was going to explain you how to connect to the database. So to connect to the database from the Java, okay, before you required your database setup. So I hope everyone have the database. I'm using the MySQL database. So I installed MySQL database. So from my MySQL database, I can execute all my queries. Like, okay, I have created a table called student. So I have a database called schema called PCDB. I was in PCDB schema. I have multiple schemas. Right now I'm using the PCDB schema. So the schema contains multiple tables. That is student table which I am using. I created a student table. So the student table I have data like ID, name, email, and then I inserted two rows Rama, Krishna. These are the two things which I inserted from here. So I hope you guys know how to select the table. Select star from the student table. That itself will retrieve the list of information. If you want to insert, then you write a insert query and then you say whatever you want to insert the data. Siva at the rate of gmail.com. So for the insertion, so you execute this query and then it is executed the insert query and it's now you say select. Okay, you getting okay third Siva. So I hope how to select the data, how to insert the data into the database you guys understood. So this is the table information where it will store and you can retrieve the data from the database. Okay, now how to execute these SQL queries from the Java, that's what we are going to study today through JDBC. Now I go back to my Java program. So the prerequisite to connect to the database is your database should be there and then you should require MySQL connector.jar. Okay, the MySQL connector.jar I downloaded from the internet. So please go to the internet, download the MySQL connector.jar for connecting to the MySQL. Why? Because I am using the MySQL database. If you guys are using Oracle database, then you require a OJDBC.jar. Okay, so I'm using MySQL database, so that's why I'm downloading the MySQL connector jar, and they add that particular jar file in our class path. So to add, go to the build path and you say external jars. Okay, select that jar. Okay, so I just selected the MySQL connector jar and then you add it. It automatically adds into your class path so that you can able to access the complete classes which is there inside MySQL connector jar. I hope you guys are familiar with what is jar. A jar is contains some set of Java classes which is built in and then you're just using that classes by adding this jar in our class path. So now I am using the MySQL connector jar classes which is inside some set of classes is there to connect to the database. Now I added into my class path. Now I'm able to use all the classes which is there in okay MySQL connector. Okay, so I hope this is the prerequisite to do connection with the database. So guys, if you have any difficulties in the installation of the database or setting up this jar and other things, please WhatsApp or contact to this number. Will help you out in the installing of this setup. So the setup is very important to understand the remaining set of concepts. So now through Java, okay, we can connect to the database by simply doing in a 5 steps. Okay, the first step is you need to load the drive or you need to register the driver class. So every database have one driver class where you need to register the driver class to the driver manager so that it will registers corresponding driver. So in my MySQL to register there is a class called com.mysql.jdbc.driver which is there in the MySQL connector.jar. So this particular class I need to register. Okay, that's why what I'm doing is class dot for name. Okay, this it itself will register the driver to the driver manager internally and then okay it load this particular class into the JVM. Okay, this class that for name will loads the uh, uh, class into the JVM. I hope you guys understood what is. We can discuss more details in a class loader class means there is a concept of class loader. That time we'll discuss more about what is how this loading will work, all those things. Now, right now, just understand that to connect to the database, our first step is we need to load the driver class. Simply register the driver class. So the next step is we need to have a one driver manager class is there. In that there is a static method called get connection. So that's why I'm directly calling driver manager dot get connection. This particular method is expecting, if you see here, three parameters. One parameter is URL, username, password, and it is returning the connection object. If you see, this is the return type of this particular method. So it will take these particular parameters and it will returns the connection object. Okay, so if you see attempts to establish the connection to the given database URL. Okay, you can read this particular statements so that you will be able to understand. Okay, so now driver manager dot get connection will okay gives the connection to us. So it returns the connection, but to connect we require a URL of the database. So the URL means here, so what is JDBC colon MySQL means if you are connecting to the MySQL, then you have to give the string called JDBC.MySQL, and the local host is your where exactly your application is running. If your application is running in your database is running in a different location, then you need to give that IP address. Suppose using that it is running 192.168.0.1, then I have to give this particular IP address. Right now my database is running in my local system, that's why I given a local host. If it is running in a different system, then you have to give the IP address of the system. And then this is the port number where exactly my database is running in the port 3306. Okay, and then this is my schema of my application. So the schema is PCDB. So if you see here, this is the schema name of my PCDB schema, nothing but logical database. So now with this URL, it will go and connect to the database which is there in my system. Okay, and then it will connect to the internal schema, PCDB schema. And then to connect to the database, I require the username and password. I have given a root is my username password to connect to the database. So I hope you guys understood what is driver manager dot get connection. So the driver manager class contains a get connection method. It's a static method. So I'm calling the get connection method by passing three parameters. One is URL, username, password, and it returns the connection object. If you see, this is the connection object is returning. So the get connection, the URL is URL of the database. So where exactly which IP address it is locating, and what is the port number, and what is the schema, and what is username password to connect to the database. Okay, and then this is the connection object which is returning to us. So the connection object I stored in the reference of connection. So through the connection we can do creating the statements, and then we can execute the statement. So here connection dot means we got the connection object, that means connection is established to the database, and now we can do whatever we want. Means basically we want to execute the SQL queries into the database. That is our main goal. So that's why, so to create the or to execute the statements we require a statement. So from the connection we can get the statement object. If you see create statement, okay, so it will the java doc, if you go and see, okay, from the connection there is a method called create statement. So the create statement returns the statement object, creates a statement object for the sending SQL statement to the database. Basically if you see this java doc, you will be able to understand. So if you want to do any statements you want to execute in the database, you require a statement object. So to how to get the statement object is simple. From the connection you simply call the create statement method. The create statement method will returns the statement object. So I'm putting into a reference stmt. Okay, now stmt contains the object of the statement. So I hope you guys understood what is our third step. First step is we registered, and then we driver class, and second step is we have to get the connection object using driver manager that can get connection. We got the connection. From the connection we have to create the statement. Okay, we created the statement object. Statement object is there to execute the statements inside the database. Okay, now I want to insert I want to execute two queries. One is insert query and then one is select query. So that's why I write in a simple insert query, like insert into a student table. Here I just given a 4 uh, whatever, Ravi at the rate of gmail.com. This is the first statement which I have written. So similarly, we execute this statement in MySQL also, right? So that similarly, I want to execute from my Java database. So that's why what I did is insert into a student table values. I have given the values, ID, name, and then email which is required for this particular student table. So I have written insert query. That insert query I am giving to the statement dot execute update. What is this execute update? If you see Java doc, okay, it execute the given SQL statement, okay, which may be insert update or delete statements or SQL statements, okay, returns nothing, such as SQL DDL statements. So basically whenever you have insertions update delete, then you have to use the method called execute update. So in our statement object we have a method again. The method is execute update method. To this method you need to give the either insert query, update query, or delete query, if you see as per the document. And then it returns the integer. What is this int is? It will returns the number of rows updated inside database. Okay, so in this case we are executing only one insert query and it returns the one row updated, something like that. So and then if you see that, okay, I executed the statement. This is our fourth statement. It's executed the statement and then it gives a number of rows inserted into the DB. So I'm just printing here, so just for understanding. So I hope you guys understood till this part. Okay, the four steps is simple: uh, loading the driver or registering the driver, and the next step is getting the database connection. So we got the connection object. From the connection object we are creating the statements. This is our third step. And then from the statement we are able to execute the SQL queries like insertion. Now we will see how to retrieve from the database. I have a statement object. Again I have a method called execute query. So execute query gives the SQL statements, like whenever you want to do a select anything, then you have to use the execute query. Execute query I have given a, okay, query called select star from student table. So it will retrieve all the data from the student table, and then it will returns the object called result set. So the result set contains, if you see this particular method in the statement or class, statement object, you see execute the given SQL statement and returns the result set object. So the return type of this execute query is result set. So again result set is an interface, and then corresponding implemented object will be written from this execute query. So now we have a result set. Result set nothing but entire results whatever we are seeing here. So the complete results of this entire table as converted into a result set object in Java. So the result set object stores the complete information of this particular table whatever select query is giving back to us. So now that will be stored inside result set. So by default, if you want to get the data from the result set, you just say rs dot next. So what does this mean is, so result set dot next means the cursor will be pointed to the initial. If you see, it's like a pointer is there, right? Arrow mark is there, right? So similarly in Java result set we have a cursor. The cursor will identify that where we have a next row or not. So if next row is there, then this rs.next will be true, and then it will go inside loop, and then it will point to the first row. So in this case it will point to the first row. So and then what I am doing is there is rs.get integer 1. What is this get integer is first row is integer, so get 1 means first column. Okay, so it's already pointing to the first row because of next row. Whenever you say next, so it automatically the cursor will point to the first row if it is the first time. So and then get one, get integer, get int of 1 means get the first column in that particular row whatever the cursor is pointing. So and then I say get string of 2, that means second column. Second column is the name. Okay, then I say get string of 3, then third column, so this third column will come. Okay, though again while loop will be repeated, right? So it will go to the again ours dot next, that means the cursor will go to the second row. Okay, then now the cursor will point to the second row. So now in the second row get int of 1, that means first column, so id you will get it up. So again get string of 2, and then that means second column, it will comes to the second column, Krishna will be returned. Okay, for get string of 3, that means third column, so you'll get a Krishna at the rate of gmail.com. Again it's a while loop, it will go to the next, and then you say next, so the next, it will cursor is points to the next row, that means it will points to the row 3, and then here I am, it will go to the inside and while loop, and inside while loop you say again get 1. Get 1 means first column, that is 3. So again get string of 2, that means second column, so Shiva will get it. The get string of 3 again Shiva at the rate of gmail.com will come. So and then it will go to the next. So again next, is there any next row inside here? No, nothing, there is no next row. So then this condition will be false and it comes back out. So it will print all these things, you just say simply console after that. So my last thing is I have to close the connection. So I retrieved all the data, and then now I've done my queries, insertions, and selection queries. Now I'm closing the database connection. Okay, if you run and see this particular program, you just run this, you'll be able to see number of rows inserted is into the DB is 1, so which I have given here. So one row is inserted. Now go back and see is really inserted this particular row. So I'm executing here. So yeah, I'm able to see Ravi and Ravi at the rate of gmail.com, which I inserted from here. So I inserted for Ravi at the rate of gmail.com, and then I selected, I have written a select query, so I got the results inside here. So I got each and every record, 1 Ravi at the rate of 2 Krishna at the rate of gmail.com. So whatever the results here, that everything I am able to get it into the Java, and I am able to see entire table information in my Java program. So I hope you guys understood, right? So I'm just giving a recap. The prerequisite to execute this program is you should have a MySQL database installed, and the second thing is you have to download MySQL connector jar, and you have to put it in your class path. This is the prerequisite to execute the program of the database connection. If you need any help, please contact our WhatsApp number 8296 488 and 477. Okay, then it's a 5 step implementation. The first step is loading a driver. So every database have its own corresponding driver. For MySQL I have a mysql.com.mysql.jdbc driver, which is there in MySQL connector.jar. So we are loading this particular driver and register it. And after second step is you need to get the connection by providing the URL of your database and username password. So you will get the connection object. Third step is from the connection you have to create the statement. So we got the statement object. Through the statement object we are executing the different queries. One is insert query, one is a select query. So the insert query I executed, and it is inserted the row into the database, and it's given that how many rows is updated. In this case 1 row, so that's why it is gives number of rows updated inside DB is 1 row, inserted into the DB is 1 row. After that I have written a select query. So when I select query, then it will gives the result set as a return type. So result set contains the entire results of our table. So that result set, and I am iterating the result set, and then I am getting each and every row one by one. So that's why I used while loop, and then I am printing all the rows information. Okay, after executing all this, I am closing my connection object. I hope you guys understood. Okay, how to insert into the database, how to retrieve from the database. Okay, I hope so. If you guys have any doubt, please contact us and binarportals.com, or just WhatsApp to us 8296 488 and 477 is our contact number. Thank you for listening. Okay, so we'll meet in the next class with the